So let's start it. Sustainable development. Environment and economy are closely interdependent. Development that ignores environmental consequences can destroy the very resource that sustain life. What we need is sustainable development. So we need sustainable development, a type of development that ensures future generation can enjoy at least the same quality of life as the present generation. The United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, UNCED, defined it as development that meets the need of the present generation without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. In short, we must balance growth with environmental protection so that progress today does not come at the cost of tomorrow. So let's look deeper into the concept of sustainable development. If we read the UNCED definition carefully, two key ideas stand out. What are they? Need and future generation. Needs, that means focusing on the basic needs of people. Future generation, ensuring they have the same opportunities as we do. The famous Brundtland Commission, the famous Brundtland report. What report? Brundtland report. That means our common future. It explains it further. Sustainable development is about meeting the basic needs of everyone and giving all people the opportunity to improve their lives. So meeting the needs is not just economic, it's also a moral issue because it often requires redistribution of resources. Edward Barbier describes sustainable development as improving the material standard of living of the poor at the grassroots level, which can be measured through income and real income, education, healthcare, sanitation, water supply, and so on. In short, sustainable development aims to reduce absolute poverty. So it aims to reduce absolute poverty, providing lasting livelihood, and do so without harming the environment, depleting resources, or causing social instability. It ensures that everyone, especially the poor, has access to employment, food, energy, water, and housing, while also supporting growth in agriculture, industry, and services. Simply put, sustainable development is about balancing human development with environmental and social responsibility. So it's about balancing both human development with environmental and social responsibility. Now, the Brundtland Commission, it highlights an important principle. What is that? Protecting the future generation. Environmentalists argue that we have a moral responsibility to hand over the earth in good condition. In other words, the present generation should ensure that the next generation inherits a stock of environmental and life quality assets no less than what we have today. To achieve this, development today should conserve natural assets, then preserve the regenerative capacity of ecosystem, and also avoid imposing added cost or risk on future generation. What are they? Conservation of natural assets like forest, water, and biodiversity. Then preservation of regenerative capacity of ecosystem. That means ensuring that nature can recover and continue providing resources, and also avoiding the imposition of added cost or risk on future generation. Meaning, we should not create pollution, waste, or ecological damage that future generation will have to bear. In simple terms, our development today should improve the environment and quality of life without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. Okay. Now, according to Herman Daly, he is a leading environmental economist. According to him, achieving sustainable development requires several important steps. What are they? Limiting the human population, then making technology efficient, sustainable use of renewable resources, and then careful use of non-renewable resources, and also correct pollution inefficiencies. So let's look at one by one. Limiting the human population. That means the population should stay within the carrying capacity of the environment. Think of the carrying capacity like the plimsoll line on a ship, which marks the maximum safe load. If we exceed this limit, the earth cannot support us sustainability. Now, what about make technology efficiency? Technological progress should be input efficient, meaning it should use fewer resources rather than consuming more. Then, sustainable use of renewable resources. What does that mean? Renewable resources like forest, fisheries and groundwater should be used at a rate that does not exceed their natural regeneration. Now, what's the next one? Careful use of non-renewable resources. That means for resources like fossil fuels and minerals, the rate of depletion should not exceed the rate at which we develop renewable substitutes. And the final one is correcting pollution inefficiencies. That means environmental damage caused by pollution must be mitigated to prevent long-term harm. In simple terms, Daly or Herman Daly emphasizes that sustainable development is about living within Earth's limit, using resources wisely and correcting environmental harm so that future generation can thrive just like us. Okay. Now, one of the key strategies for sustainable development is the use of non-conventional source of energy. India currently relies heavily on thermal and hydropower plants to meet its electricity needs. However, both of these have serious environmental consequences. What are the environmental consequences of thermal power plant? These emits large amount of carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas that contributes to global warming. They also produce fly ash, which can pollute water, soil and air if not managed properly. And what about hydroelectric project? These often flood forests, destroy ecosystem and alter natural water flow in the rivers and catchment areas. To reduce these negative impacts, India can shift towards cleaner, greener and renewable technologies such as wind power, solar power and so on. Wind power, how can we do that? Harnessing wind energy to generate electricity without pollution. And what about solar power? We are using sunlight as an energy source which is abundant, especially in tropical regions like India. So these sources are environmentally friendly, sustainable and can gradually replace traditional thermal and hydroelectric power, reducing environmental damage and contributing to long-term development. Okay. In rural areas, most households traditionally use wood, dung cake or other biomass as fuels for cooking. While this is a common practice, it has several negative effects. What are they? Yes, deforestation, then reduction in green cover, wastage of cattle dung, air pollution and so on. What about deforestation? Deforestation means trees are cut down for fuel. Then reduction in green cover, harming biodiversity and the environment. Then wastage of cattle dung, which could be used as fertilizers, and air pollution. Smoke from biomass cause health problems, especially respiratory issues. So to address these problems, the government has introduced subsidized LPG or liquefied petroleum gas. LPG is a clean fuel. It reduces household air pollution significantly and minimizes energy wastage compared to traditional fuel. Also, government introduced gobar gas plants. That means cattle dung is fed into the plant to produce gas for cooking. The leftover slurry becomes a high quality organic fertilizer, improving soil health. Plants are made accessible through easy loans and subsidies, encouraging rural households to adopt them. These measures not only protect the environment but also improve health and energy efficiency in rural areas. Okay, so CNG in urban areas. In cities like Delhi, the introduction of compressed natural gas or CNG as fuel in public transport has made a huge difference. What are those differences? Air pollution has decreased significantly. Then cleaner air has improved public health. So this is a classic example of how switching to cleaner fuels can directly benefit the environment and people's well-being. Okay, so I hope you understand about CNG in urban areas. In Delhi, the use of compressed natural gas as fuel in public transport system has significantly lowered air pollution and the air has become cleaner in the last few years. What about wind power? In regions where wind speed is consistently high, wind turbines or windmills can generate electricity. They harness wind energy without polluting the environment. So the electricity produced is renewable and sustainable. While the initial setup cost is high, the long-term benefits including low operational cost and environmental safety make it worthwhile. So let's read it. About wind power, in areas where speed of wind is usually high, windmills can provide electricity without any adverse impact on environment. Wind turbines move with the wind and electricity is generated. No doubt, the initial cost is high, but the benefits are such that the high cost get easily absorbed. Hope it's clear for you. Now about solar power through photovoltaic cell. That means India receives abundant sunlight, which we already use in many ways for drying clothes and grains, warming ourselves in winter, and even through photosynthesis in plants. Now, with this photovoltaic or PV cells, or photovoltaic cells, we can convert sunlight directly into electricity. We can convert sunlight directly into electricity. Okay, here's how. PV cells use special material to capture solar energy, and the captured energy is then converted into electricity. This technology is extremely useful for remote areas or places where extending the electricity grid is difficult or expensive. So let's read it once again. The best part is it's completely clean and pollution free, making it an ideal renewable energy source for sustainable development. So let's read it line by line. India is naturally endowed with a large quantity of solar energy in the form of sunlight. We use it in different ways. For example, we dry our clothes, grains, other agriculture products as well as various items made for daily use. We also use sunlight to warm ourselves in winter. Plants use solar energy to perform photosynthesis. Now, with the help of photovoltaic cell, solar energy can be converted into electricity. These cells use special kind of material to capture solar energy and then convert the energy into electricity. This technology is extremely useful for remote areas and for places where supply of power through grid of power lines is either not possible or proves very costly. This technique is also totally free from pollution. Hope you understand about it. Now, mini hydel plants. Okay, first let me explain you. In mountainous regions, there are many perennial streams that can be harnessed for electricity. Mini hydel plants use the energy of these streams to move small turbines, which generate electricity for local use. So some advantages of mini hydel plants are they are environmental friendly and do not significantly alter the land use. They provide enough power for local communities, that means by reducing the need for large transmission lines. This also avoids transmission losses that occur in large-scale electricity distribution. Therefore, mini hydel plants are thus an effective small-scale renewable energy solution, especially for remote and hilly areas. So let's read it line by line. In mountainous regions, streams can be found almost everywhere. A large percentage of such streams are perennial. Mini hydel plants use the energy of such streams to move small turbines. The turbines generate electricity which can be used locally. Such power plants are more or less environmental friendly as they do not change the land use pattern in areas where they are located. They generate enough power to meet the local demands. This means that they can also do away with the need for large-scale transmission towers and cables and avoid transmission loss. Okay, now traditional knowledge and practices. Traditionally, Indian people live close to nature, treating themselves as part of environment rather than its controller. Many traditional practices in agriculture, healthcare, housing and transport were environmental friendly. However, with modernization and adoption of Western systems, we drifted away from these practices, causing large-scale environmental damage and loss of rural heritage. One excellent example is healthcare. India has about 15,000 plant species with medicinal properties, and about 8,000 are regularly used in treatments through Ayurveda or Unani, Tibetan and folk systems. These traditional systems are gaining popularity popularity again, especially for chronic health problems. Modern products like herb and toothpaste, oil, lotion and cream rely on these plants. They are not only environmental friendly but also safe, avoiding large-scale industrial processing and harmful chemicals. This shows that reviving traditional knowledge can help us protect the environment while improving health and well-being. So let's read it line by line. Traditionally, Indian people have been close to their environment. They have been a more a component of environment and not its controller. If we look back at our agriculture system, healthcare system, housing, transport, etc., we find that all practices have been environmental friendly. Only recently have we drifted away from traditional systems and caused large-scale damage to the environment and also our rural heritage. Now it's time to go back. One apt example is healthcare. India is very much privileged to have about 15,000 species of plants which have medicinal properties. About 8,000 of these are in regular use in various systems of treatment, including the folk tradition. With the sudden onslaught of Western system of treatment, we are ignoring the traditional systems such as Ayurveda, Unani, Tibetan and folk systems. These healthcare systems are in great demand again for treating chronic health problems. Nowadays, every cosmetic produce, hair oil, toothpaste, body lotion, face cream and whatnot is herbal in composition. Not only are these products environmental friendly, they are relatively free from side effects and do not involve large-scale industrial and chemical processing. Okay. Now, biocomposting. What is that? Biocomposting. In our efforts to increase agriculture production over the past 5 decades, we neglected traditional composting and switched almost entirely to chemical fertilizers. This leads to degradation of fertile land. Then contamination of water bodies and groundwater and increased demand for irrigation. Recently, farmers across India are returning to organic compost made from agriculture and animal waste. In some regions, cattle are maintained primarily for their dung, which serves as a natural fertilizer and soil conditioner. An interesting method used is vermicomposting. What is that interesting method? Vermicomposting. Okay, vermicomposting. Okay, what is meant by that? In that, earthworms convert organic matters into compost much faster than traditional methods. Okay. Now, biocomposting has additional benefits. It reduces chemical dependency in agriculture and also it improves soil quality. And also it helps civic authorities by reducing the amount of waste they need to dispose of. So this practice highlights how traditional methods can improve sustainability while also being economically and environmentally beneficial. So here remember the term vermicomposting. That means earthworms can convert organic matter into compost faster than the normal composting process. Okay. Now biopest control. What is meant by that? During the Green Revolution, the push for higher agricultural yields led to excessive use of chemical pesticides. This created new problems. What are they? Contamination of food like milk, meat, fish and so on. Then pollution of soil and water bodies and also harm to human health. To address this, farmers and scientists are turning to biopest control methods. So they are turning to biopest control methods. What are those biopest control methods? First one is plant-based biopest control method or plant-based pesticide. Then mixed cropping and crop rotation and also natural predators. What is meant by these plant-based pesticides? For example, neem trees. Neem trees are particularly effective and active compounds from neem are used to control pests safely. And what about mixed cropping and crop rotation? Growing different crops in consecutive years reduces pest buildup. And what about natural predators? Natural predators are animals and birds such as snakes, owls and peacocks and lizards help control pests naturally. Protecting and encouraging these species in agricultural areas reduces the need for chemical pesticides. So this approach not only protects the environment but also ensures sustainable agricultural production. So remember that sustainable development is about meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. So following this path ensures lasting development and non-declining welfare for all. Okay, now let's go to the conclusion part. Economic development has historically put pressure on the environment, right? And today, overuse and misuse of resources have created serious environmental challenges. Sustainable development seeks a balance, meeting the needs of the present while ensuring the future generation have the resource and a healthy environment to meet theirs. So let's read that conclusion part. Economic development, which aimed at increasing the production of goods and services to meet the need of rising population, puts greater pressure on the environment. In the initial stage of development, the demand for environmental resources was less than that of supply. Now the world is faced with increased demand for environmental resources, but their supply is limited due to overuse and misuse. Sustainable development aims at promoting the kind of development that minimizes environmental problems and meets the need of present generation without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. So hope you understand this chapter. Thanks for watching. For more related contents, do like, share and subscribe.